Ladies and gentlemen, it's the one and only Jimmy Coffin here for you. Hey, guess what? We got a special guest for you today. Today is, let me pull up the banner. This is the Phoenix Rising Spotlight with Dan Mendoza. And get this, not only is he the one and only Dandy Dan Mendoza, he's also banned in China by the morality police out there. This is crazy. He's wanted in 20 states. In a billion galaxies, it is the one and only Dan Mendoza. What's up, you wild man?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's happening?
Well, I'm glad to hear that the current book that we have for sale here at Phoenix Rising did not get banned at the printer or anywhere else, but this one is still available here at coffincomicsshop.com. Make sure to pick it up, folks, if you have not already. We got the print. It's a pretty and pink print, and without the trade dress and the logo. So yeah, and no censor bars here today, but we're lucky. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. I know you're super good. That was crazy news to hear that your latest project was banned in China, and they had to move it around. You want to talk about that a little bit? That's
yeah, we did a Kickstarter. I was trying out what would it be like to make this like 250 something page book, and so we did a Kickstarter for it at the end of last year. It was like around, ended right in December, and yeah, and it's like it's just now finished being printed. It was like it was just like a lesson kind of thing where I'm trying to learn, what's it like to do overseas printing and all that stuff, and it turned into this big thing where it was I was like gonna print in China, and then all of a sudden, like, they keep sending me like a lot of proofs. Like they'll mail me a proof, and I'm like, okay, it looks fine. And then they'll be like, okay, and then what about this proof? I'm like, it's fine. I'm like, print it. And then right before they go to print, they're like, you got banned. And I was like, what do you mean you got banned, dude? And then they're like, right when we were gonna go to print, like some other printers got shut down for doing some shady shit. So they took every single rated R book with every single printing company. And just the magistrate just said fuck it, and he shut it all down. And then they go, you got caught in the crossfire, Dan. And I was like, what the fuck? And they're like it's gonna delay you a few weeks, but we're gonna go to Singapore if that's cool with you. And I was like, yeah, get it done, man. So then more approvals coming in, and then finally I'm like, I did the last approval, and now the books are finally printed, and it's gonna go this week. It's finally gonna go on a boat and get shipped to Chicago port, man. So man, about a month to go, man. I could finally give out these books, dude. But it's like, meanwhile, we had another Kickstarter, Sad Girl 4, and we just finished the surveys on there. We're going to print this week, and it's like I'm gonna fulfill that one way before I do Tales of Ill, which was the 250 plus pager. But it's like I don't like to make people waiting, but everybody's been cool about it. So.
Yeah, and it's definitely a badge of honor to be banned and to be printed like that. But it is also a hassle. Like when that happened with Hell Witch, it was kind of like,
yep.
Yeah. But from what we learned, Brian Polito learned, is just as long as you're upfront, let everyone know. Everyone know it's like, this is it. Yeah, it's always the over communication. Always seems to be.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And what I do is I wait for the proofs to come. Like we got banned, and I'm like, okay, I gotta let people know, but I don't want to just tell them that and have nothing to show them. So I waited for the next proofs to come in to show that production is still going and we're already on it. You know what I mean? That way, when I give them the bad news, I can give them good news and just show them like results. You know what I mean? So it's just they don't feel like I'm just not going to do anything. So.
Sure, Dan, you've got
banned. Right? Yeah,
it's like late. Okay, sure. So, all right, I was excited to talk with you because I don't know your history. I just know from reading your bio, and there's like a little bit of like animation in there.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear. Let's hear the beginning of Little Dan Mendoza. How did it all start?
Little Dan Mendoza used to.
You got your big crayon with you.
Yeah. My dad used to draw cartoons. He used to have this portfolio sitting in the garage, and it was all these cool little cartoons that he used to do before I guess his life was ruined by having kids and shit. But anyways, like, but he didn't draw no more, and I was just like, these are amazing. Like, how come you don't draw? He's like, I don't got time for it. I don't want, I don't do it. And then it was all these awesome like Playboy style pinup girl cartoons and stuff, and I was like, this is so awesome. So that was that always made me want to draw, because when you're a kid, you kind of want your dad's attention or whatever. So I'm always drawing, and me and my brother would just draw all day long. And then I'm the only one that kind of stuck with it. And then when I was in junior high, I think 7th grade, I missed the bus, so I was walking home and then stopped off in a comic book store and bought my first comic book. And I was like, I'm gonna do this. So then after that, I was just always making comics, buying. Wait. Huh?
What was that first comic that you picked up?
It was called Dynamo Joe.
Dynamo Joe.
Dynamo Joe. It was made by, I think, First Comics made it. So
okay.
Yeah, it was a robot. It was like a mecha robot kind of comic book. They were trying to make it like manga, but it was American and stuff like that.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. And then so I was always buying like the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way books and all these other things. My dad had a bunch of how to draw books. They were all from the 70s, so it was that cool retro 60s and 70s like art style, and they all had the 60s, 70s clothes and stuff. So I learned off of that. When I was younger, I would learn off of my He-Man action figures, just copying the muscles and stuff like that. And then I ended up kind of decided maybe I want to make cartoons instead, because I started to step away from American comic books and started to get into Japanese comic books and Japanese cartoons and anime and stuff. And I was like, well, maybe I could do that, because I was really into like Disney stuff, and so I went to college for that, and then I got a degree in animation, and then I spent only like one summer working for MTV, and then I decided I didn't want to be an animator anymore. I don't work well with people. So yeah, I did a couple of jobs here and there for animation, and then I just didn't want to do it, man. So then I had to make money, so I ended up getting a job with an electric company, and then so I was just an electrical worker for 13 years, man. And then I freaking during that time I was just like, man, I gotta do something. I didn't go to school and do all this shit and not do nothing. So I started a DeviantArt page. And then I just started doing pinups and then started to build a fan base. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a comic book, but I'm going to submit it to all these comic book companies as a portfolio piece to see if I can get some work. So I was at the comic store trying to think of what I want to do. And I remember not liking anything that I saw anymore. I wasn't into superheroes no more. I used to be really big into Silver Surfer and stuff like that, but there was just nothing I liked anymore. So I just like, well, if I'm gonna do this as a portfolio piece and send it out, I'm just gonna at least have fun with it and do stuff that I want to do. So I've always been into old like 70s grindhouse movies and and Russ Meyer movies and blaxploitation stuff, and so I was like, I want to make something like that, but it has to have one of those stupid names that all those grindhouse kind of movies had. So I came up with Zombie Tramp. And then I just made like a 38 page book. And then while I was doing it, I was posting it on DeviantArt, and then it actually got attention. And then I went to my first convention, and I made like 80 copies, and I sold them all in 2 days. And then so after that, I just kept making Zombie Tramp, and that was it. That was my career.
So, where was it? Where were you growing up?
I grew up as a young kid. I grew up in Sacramento. When my parents split up, I was about 12 or 13. So we moved to Los Angeles. So I grew up in like the outer Los Angeles area, like Long Beach, like where Snoop Dogg and all those people grew up and stuff. Like around there, I grew up in a city called Hawaiian Gardens, which it's a dominantly Latino neighborhood and stuff like that, and I just liked the culture there and all of the other stuff, and so I grew up there and I lived there for a long time, and then when I ended up working with the electric company, that's when I moved to Long Beach to be by the beach or whatever. And I ended up I don't like the beach, which is weird because I don't like sand in my toes. It's disgusting. But yeah, I just like that vibe there because it was just kind of laid back. But yeah, it was a crazy trip, man. I kind of lost track of what I was saying right now.
But that's fascinating. I didn't know there was like that huge, because I knew you had the animation background and then Zombie Tramp. I didn't know that was that huge length of time between that. But during that whole time, you were drawing the whole time, and
the whole time was just drawing, man, and thinking about what I want to do. I'm like, I can't just sit there and work for an electric company, because that's not what I like. I just draw. I can't stop drawing. Once I was in this Zombie Tramp game and people liked it a lot, I just couldn't stop, and I would be like on vacations or things like that, and everybody would want to go do stuff and have fun. I'd just rather sit like in the shade by a swimming pool, and I was just thumbnailing new books, and that's all I would do. And then I would just look to music for inspiration. And so with Zombie Tramp, it was a lot of like Bauhaus and Depeche Mode kind of stuff, as far as dialogue and how she thinks and what kind of vibe she sends out and stuff. So I was doing a lot of that stuff, and it was a little bit down the road. It was there was a publisher that wanted to put it on the comic book store shelves, and I was like, okay, let's do it, and I was like, it has to have my name right above it. It has to say Dan Mendoza Zombie Tramp, and it was just, I had to have that because it's branding, dude. Like, it has to be, like, when they see Zombie Tramp, they need to see my name too, because after a while they'll start recognizing the name if I pop up anywhere else and stuff. So
yeah, it's got to be like George Romero's.
Yeah, exactly. It had to be like that, dude. So, because no one knows like, who started Carl's Jr. or whatever. What's his name? Hardly anybody knows it. His name is Carl Karcher, but it should have said Carl Karcher's Carl's Jr. or something.
So what? Okay, I'm assuming there's a lot of parallels between how to do animation and comics. Yeah. So I'm assuming it's not, instead of just like thinking of it as one cell, it's like.
One of the things is when I did start making a comic book, I was okay. I only have, because I worked like 10-hour days or more sometimes. So I was like, I have to have some kind of style that is quick. So I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna stick with this a simpler animation style, and I'm gonna only make it a black and white comic with maybe some red, and then that was quicker. So I just did it like that. So I kept with the animation style, and it ended up being my style because that's how I drew. It was the fastest way to get a book done in my limited time. So it just became that's how I draw, and it's fun because it's fun and frustrating because it's fun because nobody draws like me. Like when you see a book out there and like, let's say for instance, the current Kickstarter running from Coffin Comics, you run through that and you see all these styles, and then all of a sudden there's this one that sticks out like a sore thumb, and it's a Dan Mendoza, and it just looks different, you know what I mean? And that's cool. I'm happy that I'm different, but it's at the same time on a publisher side of things, and how I'm publishing things now, it's hard to find an artist that draws like me to do interiors.
Oh, I bet. So so speaking of Coffin Comics, how did you meet Brian Pulido? How about setback? How did you first learn about Lady Death? And then how did you meet with Brian Pulido? But I think it was interesting because I saw one of your reviews. People were saying that you are the new school of Zombie Tramp is like the new school of Bad Girl Comics, which ties in perfectly with Brian Pulido. So it's just almost like you guys had to meet at some point.
In the 90s, man, when the 90s Bad Girl boom started, I was at when comic book conventions were these tiny little hotel shows. I think I was in a show maybe in Orange County, just walking around with my friends, and I met Brian Pulido. I was a teenager or late teens or whatever, and he had this book called Evil Ernie, and he had these 11 by 17 Xerox drawings that Hughes did. And he was signing them and stuff, and they were like $3. And being a young kid, I don't really have a lot of money, so I was just like, "This is dope." And I got an Evil Ernie one, And then I saw this girl character called Lady Death, and I was like, look at that chick, that's freaking cool, man. So I bought that one too. And then that's when I started to notice the 90s bad girl comics and stuff. So I started buying all these different 90s bad girl. And then, you know, I started seeing Wizard magazine and them interviewing Billy Tucci, and there's the comic book Razor, and like all these cool bad girl characters were coming about. And in the mix of that it was the 90s flair, but it wasn't a bad girl, was the Crow, which was I think was one of the coolest things that could happen as someone aspiring to be a comic book artist, to see someone like James Labar make this little independent comic, and it became this dope ass movie that's so memorable and has a cult history and following. It's cool. But that's my first time meeting Brian Pulido was way back when I was in my late teens, and then time went on, and Zombie Tramp, you know, was getting bigger and there was more buzz, and I saw him walking down at a convention in the morning one day, and I saw him walking by, and I was walking around too, and I always had my headphones on because I have anxiety problems, so I listen to my headphones, and I have like a playlist that I have to listen to before a show. And then I saw him walking by, so then I took it out, and I said, "Hey, Brian Pulido, how you doing?" and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, good," and stuff. And I was like, "Hey, I introduced myself, and I explained what Zombie Tramp was to him and all this other stuff. And I asked him if he would ever be interested in a crossover, and he said no. He said no. He's like, there's really no money in it. And I was like, oh. And, and that was my second encounter with Brian Pulido. And I was like, okay, you know, no big deal. You know, I just thought I'd ask, you know, have a good day. And then then the third time I met Pulido, it was at I think it was San Diego Comic-Con. And he had his table, and I went to go see him, and he was just signing all these little like freebies or something real quick and stuff. And I went to go see him, and I asked him if he could go, you know, take a look at my book at my table. I was all the way across the way from him, and you know, he never came. but that same year, Kevin Eastman did, and Kevin Eastman wrote a review saying that I had the coolest book in the whole San Diego Comic-Con, which was cool. And then years later from there, I had already known David Harrigan, Art Assassin, and one day I was just talking to him, and I was like, hey, let Pulido know that I'm down to do some covers if he wants to ever use me and stuff. So then David Harrigan told him, and then after that, I did a cover, and Pulido liked it, and then we met again. We met again in Vegas. He came down with Fran to go see the Misfits, and he asked me to lunch, and Bill McKay was visiting at the time, so me and Bill McKay went to go see him for lunch, and he was like, "I like your stuff, man. I would like to have you do more covers," and that was that, man. So ever since then, I think this 3 years straight, I haven't missed a cover for any of his Kickstarters. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I know what he also likes about you is the kindred spirits of just like the independent aspect of it, because you're just like, I'm just going to go do it, and so
yeah,
and did it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was like, I brought up to him once about when he turned me down for a crossover and stuff. He's like, it's okay. He's like, I'm sorry, because I didn't know who you were and stuff, and I was like, yeah, it's no big deal. I just thought it was funny, you know. But and I brought up to him when I first met him when I was a teenager and things like that. And it's just cool. It's cool to be working with somebody that I kind of grew up on. I grew up on Lady Death, man. Like, you know, that 90s bad girl stuff. You know, when I made Zombie Tramp, I'm like, not only is it kind of grindhouse and dark humor, but it had to have that 90s bad girl feel, you know. So that's Lady Death is one of those primary reasons that Zombie Tramp exists. You know, it's cool.
So let's, if you could just tell us about this design. I don't know if you remember anything about it. Like, what was the assignment?
Yeah, the assignment was boudoir. He said, Lady Death and boudoir. He said, and then I was like, okay. And I think I did a vinyl outfit one, and then a lace outfit one. So this is the lace outfit one and stuff. And I just kind of I I was doing a lot of these for all the Kickstarters I was doing with like Sad Girl and Sugar Pop and Cannibal Kitty. I was making all these body pillows, these full body pillowcases. You know, you've seen them and stuff, and they're regular on the front. You flip it over and they're nude and stuff, and you know, my fans love them and stuff. But so I was still in that mode when I did this cover. So I did her laying down because that's how I was doing all the body pillows and all that. So that's how the pose kind of came about. When I draw, I usually don't know what I'm doing. I just kind of just start noodling around, and then it starts taking shape, and then that's what it kind of starts becoming and stuff. So
that's funny you say that she's laying down, because in my mind I see her as like running or something. I don't.
Oh really? Yeah.
But now that you say she's laying down, it makes sense. Like, oh, okay,
she's laying on a bunch of sheets.
Yeah, that's sheets. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. That's what we changed by yeah. Hello, ho.
And she's standing, she's lifting that leg like she has a fart, little lady death fart, little toot.
Yeah, and it's like you say too. It's just like, well, on the Lady Death store or anything, it's like when it's Dan Mendoza, you know it's
yeah,
you.
It just stands
Your
out.
style is just so, yeah.
That was the funniest thing is during one of the Lady Death parties. You know, I lived in Vegas at the time, and you guys are out in Arizona, and I think it's like a 4-hour drive or a 3.5-hour drive or something. But yeah, he invited me to one of the Lady Death parties, the little launch parties. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to drive 3.5 hours to go to this party, and then I did, and it was just so, it was a trip because it was just like him showing off all these covers, and a couple of the artists were there, Mike DeBaffo and Murat and stuff, and you know, and it was just kind of funny because it was just like these guys that all draw a certain way, and then I was just this cartoon guy showed up, you know. But yeah, it was cool because I got to hang out with Murat. I've only met him had only met him briefly once and stuff, and he's a good dude, and you know, I mean, and we do cool little comic book covers for each other.
All right, I gotta ask. I don't know if you tell the story or if it's private, but
yeah,
the neck tattoo, is that did you get that in Toontown? Did you use some time in Toontown? No,
as Jiminy Cricket. I always thought it'd be nice to have my conscience whispering in my ear. So I'm big into Disney cartoons and stuff, and Pinocchio is one of my favorites because it's so dark. There's like no way they would make a movie like that nowadays. But it's kind of, my tattoos don't mean anything. Like I just want cartoon characters and shit on me, so I don't. Yeah. People ask for a behind what's the hidden meaning? I don't have one. But if I was to say anything, it represents my anxiety problems, because when I have anxiety episodes, it feels like I am being told all the things that aren't really happening. You know what I mean? So I have nightmares, the one that reassures me that what's real and what isn't. So I'm kind of a difficult person.
But I love that. But you normally see a tattoo like that, you think it's just like, you know, some type of like, you know, skull violent type thing, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's a Disney animation. Like, oh, this guy's awesome.
I just got this new one. It's dope. I got Nightmare tattooed on my on my forearm and stuff. So that's
awesome.
Yeah. So I found a tattoo artist down here in Michigan, and she's really awesome, man. So I just did this drawing, and she just slapped it on, and it was perfect. So it was like dope. But yeah, I always got I got Mickey Mouse and comic book characters and just a bunch of nerdy shit. So.
Yeah, I love the all the pop culture reference on there. I think you got some it's all the Zelda one. You've got some of the Pokemon, I think. Yeah. It's just like total you look like you'd be like, oh man, such a hardcore badass dude. Like, oh, they're fun pop culture stuff. This guy's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of I got a couple Zelda and some comic book stuff and a couple Disney things, and I got a whole arm of just Dragon Ball Z and stuff.
So what's your favorite horror movie? I gotta know, because you're always repping the awesome, the hats and t-shirts and all that stuff. I see it.
I got well-known horror movies that I love, and the ones that aren't so well-known. But the well-known, I like John Carpenter a lot.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, so I really am a fan of Christine. My all-time favorite is Kubrick's, The Shining, of course. but as I do like things like the movie May. I don't know if you ever seen that. That's a good one, and The Woman is a good one. But it's there's just like these people don't really know them that way. My favorite werewolf movie is one called Ginger Snaps.
Yep.
That was one of my favorites. I have like the special edition Canadian version. It has like deleted scenes. It's really cool. But yeah, a lot of my movies I end up liking. I always look and say, who fucking made this? It's always John Carpenter. So I like The Thing when he made that, and They Live. I like They Live, but I don't like John Carpenter's music scores. like of course Halloween is the shit. I love Halloween, but They Live, it's just the same tune over and over. It's like doo 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 doo, and it's that over and over for an hour and a half, and it's just weird. Like I like They Live, but there's just so many just strange odd parts. Like when Roddy Piper's getting a fight with that dude trying to make him wear the sunglasses. There's no sound effects. There's no fight music or nothing. It's just awkward silence, just watching these guys fight in an alley. And it's just weird, man.
Great.
But it's hard whenever people ask me what's my favorite horror movie. There's so many, dude, and I always draw a blank. I'm always like, I don't know. But,
so what song or what band would in your mind, be your theme song for that? That's Dan Mendoza, the artist. What is that?
I have two types. I have two types of music that I'm really an 80s guy. I like 80s music. I love the Smiths and Depeche Mode and Bauhaus and just stuff like that. But I also listen to lots of punk rock. Like so I grew up not listening to a lot of music at all. So I kind of like that because I'm just now discovering music. Like I'm liking music from like late 70s now, and I never heard that shit ever. Like I know about it. I just never listened to music that much. I watched a lot of TV and a lot of movies growing up. I never listened to music. But now that I'm older, I'm always, and I'm constantly working. I'm just looking for music and all I can find is punk rock, man, and I love it. And punk rock music and ska music. So my theme music for me, just because the best punk rock ska mashup is Operation Ivy, man. I love Operation Ivy. And also there's a band Voodoo Glow Skulls, which I really like too. Those two are my tops right now. I just now started to listen to Circle Jerks, and I love it a lot, man. It's really good shit. But I'm just so late on that stuff. But it's fun that it's so late, because if I had already listened to it, and it would suck trying to find music right now, because there's nothing out there like that. So
I just love discovering new music, because it's just like it's just.
And the thing with the Smiths is there's so many Smith songs and stuff. I don't try to find them all. I just let it happen by itself, because they're not going to make any new music. So I don't look for it. I just let it happen by itself. Like when I'm listening to like Pandora or something, I'll like, what is this? And then it's like they made a new song.
And they're so timeless too. So it's just like, it doesn't matter when it came out, because it's always come out. Yeah. So, all right, we talked about Lady Death. So, but you've also done Hell Witch and La Muerta too. So is any different, you do anything different for those characters, or is it just like, that's my assignment, I'll just draw it, or is there different?
Yeah, I think La Muerta has different eyes. I draw two types of eyes. La Muerta has round eyes, and then Lady Death and Hell Witch have diamond eyes. But yeah, I kind of think of a character's personality before I draw them, so it's the drawing just becomes them. Like I can't. It's hard to replicate. Like if I take a drawing, let's say one of the comic books that I published that Nightmare does is Cannibal Kitty. I think about Cannibal Kitty's attitude when I draw her, and then if I took that exact same drawing and tried to put Lady Death clothes on her, it wouldn't match up. I would change it, because that's her personality isn't Lady Death's personality. So when I'm drawing, I just kind of think of their personality, and that's and it just becomes, what it is. Like I stand back and look at it and be like, okay, that's Lady Death. But yeah, that's the best way I could describe it.
So coming up at the end of the year, we've got Lady Death versus Hell Witch Wargasm.
Yeah.
Which team are you on? Who do you think is gonna win?
Yeah, Lady Death. If for some reason it's written into the story that Hell Witch is gonna win, it's gonna be something where it's a technicality or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a Lady Death because Lady Death is 90s Bad Girls comics, man, and that's what I live for. So I can't stray away from it. So.
Well, the crazy thing is, Brian, they actually wrote 2 endings, so just in case. But he's like, yeah, it's gonna complicate things if Hell Witch wins because it's going to they're gonna change the story going forward. So if people want to throw some chaos into there and take their votes and vote for Hell Witch,
yeah,
and like see Brian and Mike scramble to figure out how to change the whole Coffin universe. That's how you do it. But yeah, because Hell Witch, she's got her fans, and of course Lady Death's got her fans. So
yeah.
We'll see.
It was so cool when I saw that because I at this same time this year, once January hit, I started Patreon, which is a website where you can sponsor artists and get exclusive content that they don't share anywhere else and stuff. And I decided, what if I made a comic book that was when every time I write it and I get to a fork in the road, I just sorry, my dog's barking. It's distracting me. but yeah, every time I come to a fork in the road, I let the Patreon backers vote on what happens next. So it's like a choose your own adventure, and
awesome.
and we've been doing it this whole year. Like, so I've written about half the script, and we've drawn about half the pages and stuff, and it's turning into something cool. Like even when I was doing the character designs, I would do live broadcast when I'm drawing, and I let them vote, like, because you just hit the vote button on the broadcast thing, and they would vote on the boob size, they would vote on the hair color. They started voting on everything, and it's fun, man. It's fun getting those fans' input on things.
Yeah, well, that's the technology now. Let's us do that, and that kind of it almost feels like it's performance art for you when you do that too now, because
yeah.
You're getting the feedback and you're coming back and forth with them. So that's awesome. Great idea for that. Let's see if there's any questions. Anyone have any questions? Sure. Throw them in the comments and let Dan do that. Let's go back to the time machine here. Let's see. Anyone see on that? Oh, Buddy was saying his dad was the same way. He did really good pinups, so that's awesome.
Nice.
Let's see. Here we go. Still ill for real. Big fan of Dan Mendoza, Zombie Tramp, Saga, Psycho. Yeah, 3 collected.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Oh yeah. Jessica here with some love for Dan. Love the art style. Yeah. Crazy Louisiana. Sup Dan, the man Mendoza. Yeah. Yeah, Red Dragon still.
Heck yeah, Red Dragon. What's up, man? That's a big fan right there. When I see that name pop up, I'm like, oh, I know that guy. He's awesome.
Daniel Brule still ill.
Daniel Brule, man. Daniel Brule is always, every time we do any kind of broadcast, he's first. He's first there to sign in. Whenever we do a Kickstarter, he's usually backer number 1, man. That guy's on it.
What'd you come up with the still ill?
The Smiths. There's a song called Still Ill, but like and then the princess comes from my love for just Disney princesses, so it was Still Ill Princess. So that's why the logo is it's basically institutionalized princess, that has mental illness. So that's that's how that came about. So
let's see. Who else? I'd love to see a crossover of Sad Girl Psycho Baby. Be so up at just what's going on with La Muerta. So I guess crossover with that. Yeah.
What's cool about La Muerta when I read it, because Sad Girl Psycho Baby, it's post-apocalyptic future, but she's Latina, and I mean, like, she actually grew up in Mexico, and she's a mutant and everything like that, but she has her lowrider, she speaks Spanish, it's all Spanglish and everything, but it's what's interesting is that she has this tattoo of death on her arm, and that comes from this culture in Mexico that people, they do worship death. There's a whole culture in it. And then I start seeing La Muerta, and it's the same shit. And I was like, that's fucking dope. They both worship the same God, man. I was like, that's kind of interesting as far as any kind of crossover reasons, you know. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
It'd be awesome. An alternate reality of meeting up there. Yeah, Dan, big tough hard dude, but nerdy as fuck. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. And that's the thing is that I've always been I was a really skinny kid. I was still 6 feet tall, but I was like 108 when I was a freshman. You know, and I think when I graduated, I was 128 pounds or 130 pounds, and I was still 6'1", the height I am now, and it's like, so, you know, I got picked on a lot or whatever. I didn't have a lot of friends, you know, who cares. But anyways, like, I still have that mentality of this little nerdy kind of kid and stuff. But even though I bloomed, I blossomed into this big fucking guy, dude. And it's I forget, dude. I forget because I've said some shit to people at my table before, like, and just kind of kidding, but I scared them, and, and I didn't mean to, and then Nightmare has to be like, they're like, tell him you're kidding because he's just kidding, you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, dude, I was just kidding, dude. Just calm the fuck down, you know, like.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So it feels like the same thing with Brian and the you know, Coffin Comics. People, you know, they look at us and think like, oh man, this is a bunch of bikers, but then they're like, oh no, they're a bunch of cool, like,
yeah, man, it's the vests and like, stuff, you know what I mean? I got my vest in the works, dude. I got my vest, man. I got a bunch of patches I'm sewing on it already. Got a bunch of pins. I got a big Still Ill logo I got to sew on the back. The thing is so tough to have these vests, but then at the same time, you got to learn how to sew. It's like, I'm so tough, but I can sew.
And it looks even better when it's like all messed up. It's like,
oh yeah, just call that. That's the only way to be like, yeah, I'm tough, man. I don't care how I sew. Yeah.
I love the way Dan Mendoza draws Lady Death. I want a t-shirt.
Hell yeah.
Ooh,
I want a Lady Death t-shirt too that I drew. That'd be sweet. I got this one on right now. Look at this.
Oh yeah.
I make my shirts like really, really big. Like, I always ask the printers, I'm like, how big can you go, dude?
Yeah, how big is that screen print?
How big can that screen? They're like 17 inches. I'm like, I want it 17 inches
to the edge.
But I like, you know, I'm a tall dude, so I hate it when the shirts are too short. So I usually, you know, I need to get them a little bit longer. So when I stretch, it doesn't show my stomach. Good Scott Punk fans.
Less Than Jake, buddy.
Less Than Jake to me is after Punk was over.
Ooh.
But you know, that stuff's cool.
It's
like
okay.
that's like the Ska's Dead and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there's all those bands that came later, like Goldfinger and all those. But yeah, I'm just more the old punk, old ska. Like all the ska I listen to is like, you know, you got English Beat and Madness and, you know, and all that cool shit. The specials. Like next year, English Beat and Madness are going to tour across America, dude, and I'm totally gonna go to see those old dudes. I think the closest they're gonna be to me is like 3-hour drive. I'm totally gonna go check that out.
Oh, that's right. You're not in Vegas anymore. You're out in the wild.
No. Yeah. Yeah. And it sucks because I saw English Beat is playing in Vegas this year. So yeah. Dandy Dan, what's up, Brian?
Oh, Brian Polito. Yeah. Nice. Of course, Miguel, Team Lady Death. Hell yes.
Oh yeah.
And yes, yeah. What's up?
What's going on?
And yeah, Jason. Oh, I need a big Still Ill patch. Yep.
Yeah, Jason. I got Princess Jewel making that shit right now, dude. So just like she made me a couple big patches and then some small prototypes. So.
Oh hell yeah!
So waiting for those to come in.
So all right, folks. Once again. Looks like I knew this was going to happen. The time's going to fly by, and it's just like, all right, let me pimp this out one more time here, folks. We've got Dan's Pretty in Pink edition right now at the store at comic shops right now for the Phoenix Rising, the exclusive. We've got the print And this edition limited to 100 something, so it's another super low run edition. Does it say on here? I don't have it right here, but I think it's like 100 or so on there. So Dan, where can people find you? Where are you at on the internet? Where you be at?
On the internet, Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, all under Art of Dan Mendoza. Makes it easy for you guys. And then also just look me up on Kickstarter, dude. Just type in Dan Mendoza and I'm right there. I usually always have a Kickstarter running. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on all the success. Thank you for contributing to Coffin Comics. So yeah, there's the part you work for us, and then your very own independent stuff. So thank you. I'm so happy you're doing awesome, and
thank you.
Spending good time. Thank you for spending good time today with us. We appreciate that. Let's see a couple. Okay, so yeah, people want that patch. People talking about that patch.
Nice, dude. Yeah. Before we go, just quick. Check out Sugar Pop is running now on Kickstarter. It's been 1 week and we're already at 55K. Also on La Muerta, check out my joining cover set with Lady Death and La Muerta fighting side by side. That's a really cool thing. I think that's unlimited to 99. So make sure and check all those things out that I got going on Kickstarters.
Woo, you are a busy man. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it, folks. Still got time to pick up one of these today. So thanks to you, Dan. Appreciate it. Swords and Fiends, stick around at 15 minutes. We're going to be doing the last cauldron for Phoenix Rising. So get your orders in now, and you'll see if you win something awesome. Thanks again, Dan. Appreciate it.
See you, everybody.
Peace out.
Swarmfest, Swarmfest, Swarmfest. Swarmfest, the global gathering for Coffin Comics Fiend and the Swarm, featuring exclusive parties, artists, signings, commissions, panels, beer, food, coffee, alcohol, tours of HQV2, trading posts, CGC, friendship, community, camaraderie, shenanigans, insanity, and more.
Plan ahead. Be there.
Tickets and details on sale now at coffincomics.net/Swarmfest. Presented by Coffin Comics. Swarmfest. February 25th through 27th, 2022. Mesa, Arizona, USA. Swarm.